Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live Market Analysis ASX edition. My name is Carl Capolingua. I'm the market analyst over here at Think Markets Australia, and it's a pleasure to be with you as we delve into the depths of your portfolio. Obviously, try and keep the winners, kick out the losers, and add a bunch of new rocket ship emoji stocks if we can find them. The agenda for today is very, very simple. It's over to you, really. Find the Q&A window somewhere there on your Zoom platform, or if you're watching me on any of the streaming services, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you should have a way to get in touch with me as well. Happy to do your requests versus my technical analysis and fundamental analysis where available. Let us head first and foremost. I'm not clicking the right buttons today. Hopefully that is not a sign of the times. Head to the charts. We're not going to look at ACAP Energy. Hey, that's dead on the table, that one little uranium play. And keep watching today, because no doubt we'll get through a bunch of uranium stocks, lithium stocks, copper stocks, biotechs, and all the stuff you're interested in. Let us go first and foremost to the Zoomers, and we're going to look at DSE for King. And I'm going to head over here and here. And it looks good, actually. So Dropsuite, obviously one that has come up in my shortlists a few times over the last couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure I've tweeted it. I don't think I've made it a featured chart yet, King, but obviously, well, you might have found it yourself, or you might have picked up on it anyway. But yeah, look, nice short-term uptrend. That's why it's in my shortlist. Through here, get my colors going first. There we go. And so that's my short-term uptrend ribbon, my long-term uptrend ribbon. If you're unsure of what those moving averages are, they're over here on the left-hand side. You can see I've got a 21 and 34 EMAs for my short-term ribbon and 144 to 33 EMAs for my long-term ribbon. I did get a query during the week on Twitter as to how to program them into TradeView. Look, it's not hard to do. You know, it just you'll have to Google Pine Editor and work out how to change the colors of things when they're going up or down. It really is not that complicated in terms of the system I use. And simple always works best, I believe, when it comes to technical analysis, because let me assure you, I've tried all the complicated things and I keep coming back to just identifying the trend using something simple like these moving averages and then delving into those trends, looking for good price action and good candles. So we certainly have good short-term and long-term uptrends here. And let's go to the next step where we delve into the price action. And to do that, I grab my little drawing tool here. On my platform, it's called a zigzag. It'll be called something similar on yours. And I start to hit the peaks and troughs. Another name for peaks and troughs, I like to call them points of supply for peaks and points of demand for trough, but you can call them whatever you prefer. And up we go there. Obviously what we like to see is rising peaks and troughs to tell me that I do have building demand of the system. And let me prove it to you. If your points of supply are giving way to the upside, that supply is not in control of the price. And if your points of demand are rising, then I would suggest that your demand is in control of the price. Each time you go up, obviously pulling back less than you went up. The other important thing is to make sure that, make sure your points of demand tend to be at or above your previous points of supply. So we want to see that the old supply zones are acting as demand zones going forward. Sometimes we can get a compression, and I think that's sort of the message here. Often you'll get a compression into historical points of supply. I can't see any, but I'm going to zoom back and assume that they're there, and I'm not surprised. And if you've listened to me for any period of time, you're not surprised either that we're having a bit of compression in that zone. I guarantee. Well, that's a silly word, isn't it? Guarantee. But I'm confident, that's the right word, that when you do this analysis, and you start to draw in your peaks and troughs like I just did, and you see compression, I bet you, when you zoom out, you'll find a historical point of supply from the past to cause that compression, because that point of supply tends to act as a future point of supply. And when that supply hits the demand, which is in the system, we can see that demand is building. Supply hitting demand gives us equilibrium. So we're going to get that compression. So look, I'm okay with the price action. It looks pretty good. The candles are the final flourish, and we can see the candles are a bit... what's the right word here? Dodgy is not the right word, but they're very either full or, there's no bodies at all on some of them. it's not, I'm going to say this is not the most liquid of stocks. It's not the most active of stocks. And that's why we're getting candlesticks like that. It's not necessarily a deal breaker. As long as they're white, as long as they're lower shadows, that's still good. But it should just give you a little bit of a heads up on whether you might have liquidity issues getting in or getting out. If you're a small account, it won't matter. If you're a big account, it will. But also that there might not be a huge amount of interest in this one to continue to push this in the direction you want it to go. So when I see these things, I tend to look down here and look at the volume. We can see sort of 4 million shares that day, 7 million that day. Look, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. So I don't think that's a major issue. So let's not call that a red flag at this stage. I can say that this candle is amazing. So this one here with the big white body, no shadows, tells me we found demand throughout the system, excess demand, and we closed on the high, and there was very little pushback on a move, on a stock that's moved, opening there at 28 cents and closing at 31. So that's pretty much a 10% move in a day, and there really wasn't a lot of selling into that. The problem is today we have had a bit of a follow through in the morning and the supply has arrived. So that big upper shadow there, that is the epitome of supply arriving on the scene. And what do they want to do now? Is it just the start of their supply? Is that all they got? It's enough to give me pause. I've ticked everything else off on this, but that's unfortunately going to keep me out from a buy today. Doesn't mean I can't buy this in the near future. You know what I like to see. Let's see how that supply continues to manifest itself in the system. We might even see another little sort of down day tomorrow. I don't think it'll be substantial. It'll be pulling back somewhere into the demand, feeling the demand in this zone. And if demand is still in the system, it will overwhelm that supply and we'll see a bit of a push back up. And you might even see maybe in a couple of sessions time, you might get something that looks a little bit more like this one with the lower shadow. Not going to let me draw it, but that's okay. We will persevere. And if I double click that and change the fill color to white. So we could see something like that. And if you did see that white candle, now I'm starting to get interested. If and only if I saw something like that, I could certainly add 1/3 on the basis of all the other good stuff I've discussed. And certainly if we were to see, the best buddy of that candle, which looks like this, then we'd very much be getting quite excited. Obviously, we'd love to see all of that occur sort of, coming in as this light green zone catches up. They tend to be the best setups, and this obviously continues to go in the right direction. If I could label this candle 1, this will be helpful for us later on. Candle 2, I call those my demand side buddies. Okay, and really they're telling me that demand is retaking control of the price. At the moment, we've got the opposite, don't we? Let me move that label out of the way just to really focus on this candle here. Let me call this candle 3. I know, not great labeling there, but candle 3 really is supply arriving on the scene. It's the opposite you can see of candle 1. So I can go happy holder here, King, on that one. Not a buyer at this stage. I am curious for you, King. And let's head over here now to our Refinitiv Icon spreadsheet and see if we can do a valuation on Dropsuite. I'm expecting there is a little bit of coverage out there in broker land, and a little bit means two brokers covering. We do have a price target here, 34 cents, allows about 10 cents upside from the current price. And if I make that match up, we're going to see that we do apparently have some earnings growth in the system. Again, these are not my numbers. These are the numbers of the two brokers, and they could be Morgan Stanley, they could be Goldman Sachs, they could be Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, UBS, Credit Suisse, Macquarie Bank, and the list goes on and on, Citigroup. Okay, and they have teams and teams of analysts doing the hard yards that, let me assure you, even if you wanted to, you couldn't do it as well as them, right? I'm a great fundamental analyst, Carl. I can analyze companies. I'm like Warren Buffett. Well, maybe, but these guys have teams of the best. And my view is I'm not going to fight them. I'm not going to waste my time trying to do their research. I'm going to get their consensus and say they're all smarty pants and use their numbers. And that's what this Thomson Reuters Refinitiv Icon spreadsheet does, because Thomson Reuters, one of the key data gatherers globally goes and asks those big brokers about what they think about the revenue this year, next year, the year after. And we get all those data points. We can get some growth numbers in here and use some ratios there. I'm not going to explain the whole spreadsheet. Of course, just the key line here, EPS, I want to see bottom left, top right. And we're starting off a very low base there, 0.1%. But hey, it's going to 0.2%, which is, doubling, and then another 50% growth, and then 25% growth, and then a bit of a pop there. So we're going to get some amazing growth on this one. Apparently, one strong buy, one buy, and we've got a price target here of fair value. My spreadsheet first pass says 97 cents, which you would say, well, that's a bargain. I have to go out and buy Dropsuite immediately. But that's assuming a PE of 88.6, which is really just the median of those ones going forward, because this year is not finished. It's very low historically, but there's so little data on the screen, we're not going to get too excited. You might even upgrade this to high risk to say, hey, it's a small company, not so sure about it, brings it down to 85. But the real place you need to do the work here is to change, I think, your PE, because I feel comfortable paying 86 times earnings for a company that's so small. I might top out potentially at 40, and lo and behold, there we go. We get a really sensible, I think, PE or target there, using a sensible PE target of 39 cents, which is a little bit better than the brokers. Did we see any red flags on the screen to tell us that we can't trust the DSE chart? No, I don't think so. So happy to go with that if you get the right signals there for you, King. All right, so that's the format of today's presentation. If you didn't know, now I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit and get through the rest of your requests today. John has asked about the STWs, which is the index. I'm only going to comment on this for 30 seconds, start counting, because this is not necessarily where we talk about indices. John, we do those on Thursday, so come back and ask that question then. But it does have relevance, obviously, for an ASX-based webinar on stocks, because what the index is doing will largely influence many of the other companies we're going to talk about today. Let me just say it's very flat, isn't it? The short-term trend actually has turned down. That's disturbing. We do have lower peaks in the system, lower troughs in the system, so the price action isn't great. We're kind of holding on here at 71.41, and that's largely due to yesterday's rally, which we can see started to flame out a little bit at the end, and not much of a follow through here. So we're kind of beholden to what's going on in the US. We're beholden to what's going on in China. So let me show you the China chart. That's not looking good. And we know that there's a bunch of commodities as well that are looking very, very poor indeed, with a bit of a bounce there recently on copper, but otherwise heading down. I can show you the iron ore chart, and all the others are generally trending lower. Okay. Trade and trigger points for the ASX 200. Again, tune in on Thursday for that, John. Let's head back to Stockland now. Stockland doesn't make any sense. The land of stocks, and do Santos. Go back to my candlesticks. Can't live without my candlesticks. And a zoom normal. Always important to get back to your default zoom before you do your next analysis. And this is for David. David, I did see this actually. It came up on Friday. Did I put out on Friday a list? I'm pretty sure I put out a list on Friday. It seems like a million years ago now, but let me have a look just to check. If you don't know what I'm doing, I'm over here now. There I am on my Twitter, and I'm pretty sure Santos was on the list. Oh, it wasn't on the list. How did Santos not get on the list? I'm sure I've tweeted this very recently, and this is prefacing what I'm going to say. So if you're not sure what I've ever said about a company, just go $, and the company ticker, so STO, and then just put my handle, and you'll see what I've ever said about any company. And you go latest, top will give you something from 3 years ago. Go latest, and Santos. No, that's telling Santos. No, I can't believe it. Okay, well, I'm a little bit baffled because I definitely saw it come up. And this is my aversion to Santos, maybe working on my subconscious. If you don't believe me, let me head over here, because I ran a scan before we started, and it's my long scan. The herbs and spices of that long scan are pretty much all the stuff I talk to you about every week, which is fine. Good trends, and then good price action, good candles and things like that. But in that list, I'm sure Santos will be coming up. Just to prove to you, there it is. Okay. there's Santos. So what does all this mean? Well, good news, Santos is coming up in my scans. Why? Because we've got a nice short-term uptrend. The long-term uptrend is starting to change, very important. We're going through the traffic light system where green is good, amber is uncertain, and dark pink is bad to go up. We've gone from a period where the long-term trends have really impeded upwards price action to potentially maybe starting to support it. And I think with this last little trough here, maybe that's why I left it out of the list. I wanted to see just one more test and hold of that long-term trend to prove to me, and really stocks they need to prove to me they're worthy, okay? I don't need to prove myself worthy to the stocks. They need to prove themselves worthy to me. And this is a key zone here. So let's just see how the supply manifests itself, how the demand then comes in and responds to any supply. And if we're getting the right candles in this zone, then I would be more than happy not to just put it in my shortlist, but potentially to run it as a feature chart. So let's I know I'm jumping around here, but this shadow here today is important. I think that's telling us that we're seeing excess demand in the system now. Excess demand in the system. We've got a nice little trough here. So if we go and draw in our price action, go up to here, down to here. So we can see that the last trough, or the last point of demand, which is that one there, is well above the last point, second from last point of supply. And also you can see how the previous supply zone, which is so well defined, and you've got really every reason to fear this zone and respect it. But we can see how, in particular, I reckon that's kind of around here now. Let's push that out. But we can see how we've got demand potentially coming in around this area here now. Hopefully that shows up on top, and it has. Wonderful. Okay. So tick, 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 tick. Would I buy it today if the candle stays the same? Okay, so if we get that candle or better, this is a live candle. Very important to note. This is a live candle. Market's still trading. Okay. So it needs to close towards the high of the trading session. And let me give you some numbers on that. Okay, so the current close is 740.54, I should say, 754. Now that is based on a it's not a 12 p.m. candle, because I have to get the time difference right here in Perth. So as I continue to update this even during the session, you may see that change. So I would say if it closes within 1% of the high, okay, so on a $7 stock, it's got to close within 7 cents of the high, probably even less. Let's say 0.5%. So really, I don't want this to close more than a few cents from the high of the trading session, and then I could happily add 1/3 on that. And the reason is when I look up and I zoom out a little bit, I can see that the next point of supply is really quite a ways away. And if I was to get in around the current levels, I think I could easily make 1-to-1 reward to risk with an entry at that plus 1/3 and a stop set clearly underneath that demand zone. So you can see that trough there, that low is 740. So we need to stop beneath 740. I would go probably even sort of just under, maybe even 730, maybe like a 729 or something as a stop loss. And I think that's quite a conservative stop loss. So sort of under here, perhaps. And you can see where your entry is around here, and you can see where your risk level is. So we're talking about how much we can potentially make compared to how much we are going to potentially risk, and making sure each time we take a trade that if we call this X and we call this Y, it's very important that X is greater than Y. And often get the question, how much greater should X be? And for me, as long as I can get 1-to-1 as a minimum. And some people say, Carl, shouldn't you get 2-to-1 or 3-to-1? I say, well, that's nice if you can, but I need to see at least 1-to-1, because who's to say that the price must stop at this supply zone? Okay, I think it's a supply zone. I think it's going to be a really, really strong supply zone. It's going to be a monster of a supply zone. But that's just what I think. Who's to say it has to stop there? It might keep going. So who's to say we're only going to get 1-to-1? We may get way more than that. Then obviously that shouldn't be orange, because that is another almighty supply zone up there. And it does highlight some of the problems with Santos. But happy to go 1/3, dip a toe in the water, because that's really what the strategy is. Adding a third, if it continues to do the right job, we will add more and more and more, risk reward allowing. And if it doesn't, we lose a toe, no big deal. So I think that's a really interesting turnaround play for you there, David. CSL, very quickly, because we're not supposed to talk about this, David. I've specifically told you not to ask about CSL until it closes above 315. Okay, and I'm going to say ditto. And last time we looked at it, it looks fine, doesn't it? Short-term trends, long-term trends. Price action's being compressed beneath the 315 point of supply for obvious reasons. This is not clear cut. You can't say, oh, look, CSL's the best company in the world. It's the best quality. In the long term, you buy it, you hold it, you forget it. Rubbish. That's what they said about Nokia in 2007 before Apple released the iPhone. You know what? Never fall in love. Never be a true believer. Always be aware that the circumstances can change, even for CSL. We don't know what the next technological breakthrough is going to be. We don't know how that's going to impact them. Bottom line is, if it turns down, I can't be an owner of the stock. None of those are issues right now. It's all heading in the right direction. All right, let me head to the streamers. WSR for Davis over here. Welcome, Davis. Westar Resources, little mining company, I'm guessing. Not sure what type of rocks they're kicking over in the desert to find out what they want in those rocks. Could be anything. Could be lithium, could be gold. Maybe Davis can elaborate. Not that it matters to me, of course. I just need to see a good trend, which is not there yet, but certainly starting to become interesting. Yes, the short-term trend is up. The long-term trend is being challenged. You can see how the long-term trend impedes price action on the way up. But then when we can finally break through, eliminate the supply that's still in the system, we find that the long-term trend can start to act as demand and help push prices back up again. We're seeing plenty of interest in the market. That's all good. You know, over 50 million shares traded on a 5-cent stock. The candles, so I should go price action. Price action is not terrible. I know the peak is up there and the trough is down here, but really I think that probably was a got ahead of itself day. So I'm okay with where that trough is in relation to what that candle has done. And the candles look okay. It's very warm. It's not hot for me. What would make it hotter? Today's candle, and I'm going to click update here because at 20 past the hour, which we've gone past, I get the update for the next hour. And I like to do this because it illustrates to you that last candle is live. If I say something is a screaming buy based upon the last candle, there you go. Please understand that can change. It could become a screaming sell, or if it's a screaming sell, it can become a screaming buy. So that looks good. I'd happily buy that if it closes near the highs on the trading session today, within reason, because it's already a ways away from my light green zone. But assuming a close, near high, right, I could go plus 1/3, highly speculative, obviously, and it's a toe in the water stuff. And you say, hey, Carl, if I can't buy that now, it was 3 cents, now it's 7 cents. It's doubled in price. Surely it's gone up too much. And well, maybe, I don't know. I can't tell the future. Can you tell the future? Numlock. There we go. I wasn't calling you Numlock. I was just saying Numlock wasn't pressed. I couldn't type the 3. Numlock. Who knows? And this is the whole model of dipping a toe in the water and saying, can I see excess demand? Can I see motivated excess demand? All right, well, I want to be part of that. Why? Who cares? Who cares why there's excess demand? I'm not interested in that. I just know there is, and I'm going to have a crack at it. Let us go to Neil, who's just saying sell it. I don't know what that was referring to, but Neil wants to sell something. Let's go to Ampol now, and important here, we hit our normal zoom, and that looks very good. It was looking very bad not that long ago. Must have maybe had some earnings or something around here, I'm guessing. But otherwise, it's picked itself off the canvas really well. I think even before that, there was, you can see just more white candles than black candles. So I think that's encouraging. The short-term trend still looks very good here. Long-term trend looks very good. The price action through here is very good. The fact we've taken out these 2 points of supply really without a care in the world is all very good. Lots of very goods in here. And then we've got, well, not very bad, but we're getting close to that. Look, it's one of those where I say, well, I can hold it, can see certainly a path to holding it. Candles, price action trends, all very good. But in terms of reward to risk, if I was to buy today, then I might have some trouble. Let's say I'm getting in literally right there, setting a stop loss. Well, I can see some demand through these candles here. So really all we're trying to do with our stop loss is set them beneath clearly defined demand zones. Points of demand, troughs are really good, but big white candles are also very good. I'm looking at that lower shadow. So, and then the top of this white one here. So, I think a good stop's sort of somewhere around there, and you can see straight up that if I'm risking this much and I stand to make this much, I've got a bit of a problem. Now, again, who's to say that this point of supply is going to stop prices? We don't know. Okay, but why do I want to muck around with it? So my job is to find 10 out of 10 trades that have amazing setups, amazing, showings that are exhibiting excess demand, motivated excess demand, and then to find the best ones from that bunch that have good reward to risk. So whilst this ticks many boxes, I don't think it's going to get the final tick from me on the basis of reward to risk. But hey, like I said, if you've got it, happy to hold it. That's for K. Wisetech over here, happy holder there. Adonis looks strong, albeit a little stretch, target 83. I'm guessing Adonis is on this one. I've tweeted the hell out of this one almost on a daily basis. Again, if I sort of go back here, not that I need to prove it to you, because I'm sure many of you follow me on Twitter, but just to prove to you. If I go latest, you're going to see May 26, a few days ago, Wisetech, and it's literally my featured chart. And I challenge you to go back, and it's probably one of my most featured charts, I reckon. Wisetech. So if you get the picture, it's clearly a stock I like. Hopefully, Adonis, you're making some good money on it. Yesterday's candle wasn't fantastic, but one candle does not a reversal make. And today it's bounced back really well, actually. So pretty happy with today's showing from the demand side. As long as it closes up on any of those highs, Adonis, you've got nothing to worry about, in my opinion. This continues, and why would you stress yourself out about a wonderful trend? And I get your feeling of, I'm making some good money on this, Carl. It's so hard to make money. I'm finally making some, mate. I just want to take it off the table. I know, sorry, Nick, there you go. There's the candle that we don't like from yesterday. There's the trends. And what I'm saying is, okay, everybody says, oh, it's hard to take a loss. You know what? It's hard to hold onto a profit. I find it's harder to hold onto a profit than it is to take a loss. But this is where the candles can guide you. This is where the price action can guide you. And Adonis, I've given you tools that hopefully you'll have and you'll use and you'll teach others at some stage to understand when there is more supply than we really like in the market, and therefore we need to act. But I don't think there's any reason to act upon that today. So let's keep moving. Could it get to 83? Let's let it get to $80 first, Adonis. Hugo saying hi. Hi, Hugo. Tommy saying, got a client, but keen to hear more on your next live. Not sure what that's referring to, Tommy. Let me get back to the Zoomers. They're waiting patiently over here. I'm probably too generous there on the YouTubers. Sorry, Zoomers. Let's click, and find Suncorp. Amazing. Another one, obviously, I've been tweeting about. Happy holder here. It's just these white candles. And I regret, I was on Ausbies maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I said hold. And I only said hold because of this. You know what I'm like. I said, look, hold, not a buy just yet. And I probably said something like, if it closes above 13, then happy to. And I'd regret that because the candles were good. I probably should have just called it a buy, but whatever. It's still going up. That's okay. And happy with this one. I can't see any reason why you would sell it. That cluster of candles. And let me just show you. Look, there you go. I was going to show you the chart of the XJO, but I don't need to, because what this indicator down the bottom, I talk about it so infrequently, and it's called the RSC. I know my ugly mug is in the way, but it's called the RSC, and that stands for relative strength. Now, not index, because the RSI, the relative strength index, is a completely useless indicator. One of the most popular technical indicators, mind you, used all over the internet by quote unquote so-called technical analyst experts, but completely useless to you, let me assure you. But this one, the relative strength comparative, I guess that's it, comparative, is that how you spell it? I don't care. I know there's a P in there, because we're comparing, aren't we? Compares the performance of the security to its index, and you have to select the right index. In this case, it's the ASX 300 maybe. or the all ords, so I go for the broad market, not just the 200. But you can see that it is smashing the index. I don't need to show you the index chart because that's what that's telling me. And that's what I like to see. This is in the basket, ladies and gentlemen. And I love stocks in the basket. What does in the basket mean? It's in the basket of securities that fund managers have algorithmic buy orders on. There are 1, 2, 3 funds that are accumulating Suncorp Metway, and there's just not enough supply in the market each day. And those algorithms just work each day. We open the market, ASX is down, okay, whatever. Something happened with the debt ceiling, and yet what happens to Suncorp? All day, the algorithms just buy, and there's just no supply in the market to get in the way of those algorithms. Tick, 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 few hundred shares every few minutes, just buying away. And that's what that's telling you, okay? It doesn't matter what the ASX 200 does. This is in the basket. So happy holder there, long story short. Could I buy it here? Why not? Why couldn't I buy it here? I better put a plus 1/3 somewhere on this. I mean, it's just awesome down there, but let me put one on there on the screen just so I know I officially said it. Okay, that one was for William. Should read the rest of William's comment. And William was also noting the supply at that zone. Well done, William. And noting that we've actually been testing it. And that is important to understand. And this, get your patience as well. And this was the reason for my patience is, how are we going to respond to that supply zone? And this is all about demand side response, okay? Demand side response. Well, a bit of the other one, isn't it? You can't have one without the other, but demand side response at the supply zone. Was demand going to be timid there? No, look how strong, how solid demand was. But at the same time, there was also zero supply side response at that zone as well. So maybe it's not about, I say demand side response. It's just demand supply side response. It's how they respond at that level and you absolutely nailed it. Clear skies from here, you're correct. And then Brickworks also looks good, and that is one also I've tweeted about many times. BKW, there we go. Learn how to type. Amazing. Stairway to heaven. No complaints here. Happy holder. Look, we had a little bit of a threat to this one, didn't we, with those lower points of supply. And we said if it closed beneath 24.22, that would constitute a minus 1/3, because we have been talking about buying this for a while. And that would have been that low there, that's 24.27. And this is why we use a closing basis. And I don't know. I'm quite honest. When I buy stocks, I don't put stop losses in at the start. And some people already, they've just switched off or they've thrown something at their screen. You know what? It is a fallacy that you need to place stop losses at the start of your trade. Now, you need to know where you want to get out, and you need to be disciplined enough to follow through on that. But there's no law that says you have to place a stop loss at the start. Now, I know where I want to get out, but I need to see it close beneath that level, because what the fund managers do is they, don't worry, I used to place stop losses, 15, 20 years ago, and I used to get stopped out because I used to put my stops beneath the last point of demand, right, which is here. But the fund managers know that, right? They know there's a bunch of stops down here. So they go and hunt those stops down. Right? They trigger those stops, the selling comes into the market, and if you are a buyer, you're a big fund manager, and the big fund manager's buying this, you betcha, how do I know? Look at the chart, look at that dark green zone. So the fund managers love to buy in pullbacks, and they love to just flip a few out, take some profits on the stuff they bought earlier on, right, with a view to triggering those stops. Those stops create supply, and then they jump in and soak up that supply. And the problem for everyone else is they just got out of a great trend, and now their buying helps the funds make more money. So we're looking for a close beneath that level, not a tickle. I call it a tickle of that level. And that's why we say here, no, you would not have sold a third on the basis of that amazing candle. And here's the flip side of it. And you know me, that really is a signal to buy more. Okay, and really your last signal probably to buy more is here, plus 1/3. Okay, can I buy it today? I've got no complaints at all with buying it today. And you're starting to get this idea of how you get into trades. Plus 1/3, even here, plus 1/3, plus 1/3, plus 1/3, assuming it's the best thing on the day each time, near that green zone. Okay, and if you followed that, you're up. Maybe you've got 1 1/3 of positions. Now, if it starts to do the wrong stuff, you're starting to step out of that and not stressing out about what's happening on here. And I won't do it today because maybe a few people got confused last week, but I delete the prices off my screen because they're not important. The prices are irrelevant. I just want to know what the candles are telling me to do each day, and then I just need to do it. I'm not going to keep score by what the price is doing. Okay, better read some of these notes coming through here. What's the definition of the basket? I haven't heard that one before, says King. It's no point Googling. It's just something I feel that I've learned over the years, because I know how the big fund managers buy, even how the big index funds buy. They buy in batches. They use program orders that just hit the market all at once. So the stocks they want to buy, and for an active manager, it won't be the whole index, and the stock's in their basket. All right, so there's ones they want to buy, and the algorithm, it just keeps feeding in, right? The stock it feeds in cash to get the stock every few seconds. Okay, they don't just say, well, I need to buy 1 million shares of Suncorp today. They don't just go on the bid for 1 million shares. They break that 1 million shares that they need to get up into a few shares at a time. And if there's more than one, a big fund manager doing this, if there's 10 of them doing this, they'll come together. But it's just that little pop. If you're a market depth watcher, a live market depth watcher, you've probably seen or felt that this is occurring. Now, I don't do that anymore, but many years ago I used to do that until I realized it's the worst thing I could do with my life, and I don't do it anymore. But that's what the definition of the basket is. You want to have stocks in the basket. Now, that they're all words. How do you find stocks that are in the basket? White candles. White candles king. White candles are key to what's in the basket. PMT. Do we have, is this in the basket? Don't have a lot of data there, so I can't zoom out. It's a fairly new company. Not much analysis I can do, except to say that the short-term trend is up. The price action, I think, is having some trouble here, because it's gone from looking very good through here, right, to having some issues in the last 4 or 5 candles. Okay, I'm concerned by not so much that candle. That's not a great candle. This is fine, and then we came back. But this is the problem here, and this is the real problem. And again, this is a live candle. So this last candle here, let me label them for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's candle 1. That is the real problem for me, but it's live. Candle 2, which is up here, is also a big problem. So what is happening here is our point of supply and our point of supply, right? And point of supply number, let's call this B, is less than point of supply A. Okay, so we've got supply starting to build in the system. The candles are really telling me that as we're trying to move back into those highs where that point of supply A is situated, we're being overwhelmed. Okay, so demand is trying, but supply is responding in kind. More than, and today's confirmation that supply is lower, or that's point of supply is lower, and that we have, more importantly, failed the pod here at 3. And I always say, look, if you're in the Swiss Alps, okay, and if you are at candle 3, at the low of candle 3, and you look over to the left, you've got a peak, and if you look over to the right, you've got a peak, and you must be standing in a valley. And what we don't want to see is the price close beneath that valley. Now, it hasn't done it yet, because today, candle 1 is a live candle, but for me, this is how I operate. You can do whatever you want. And I'm sure whoever asked me about this one thinks it's probably the best company in the world. It's got great lithium or whatever the hell it is they're doing. Honestly, I couldn't care less. But all I know is that the people who do know are really, we're starting to be in a situation where we've got excess supply in the market. And I would say on a close beneath this low here, and I'll give you the exact number in a second, 180. So close less than 180 equals minus 1/3. Okay, it doesn't mean we're getting all out, but certainly I'm starting to take some risk off the table on that one, Doug. Let us lithium in general, Doug. Well, let's do it. We haven't done one for a few weeks, actually. Quite surprising that we just haven't been asking the questions, but that's okay. Let's do the old lithium sector review here, everybody. Kicking off with Argosy, and it'll be 30 seconds a chart. Argosy's not the one right now. And Argosy fans, they're going to tell me how Carl it is. You really should look at this. I said, well, I will when it starts to do this stuff. Okay, when it hits that, pulls back a little, it pops, pulls back, and pops again. Okay, when this point of supply, which is the dynamic trend zone, stops acting as supply and starts acting as demand, then I'll be all over it with you, okay? But until then, I've no interest, and probably the more likely outcome is to hit this point of supply and continue down here, okay? So until it does the red lines, not interested. So pass for me on AGY. AKE, which we have been positive on the past, I think we had a plus 130 or above 1260. You would have made some profit. Would this, does this now mean we need to be getting out? Well, again, points of supply here, all the same sort of stuff. Yeah, I think you can, if you hadn't already, $16, big round number, big point of supply. I did tell you if you saw the wrong candle in there to act upon it. If you haven't done those things, then we're certainly going to go minus 1/3 here. And I would say if it closes beneath that level here, then you're going to go the next one. And I'm just annoyed that I haven't changed the color back to red, because I know that light green is so hard to see, but there we go. Try that again, and we're going to draw that for the next minus 1/3. Let's keep moving here. CXO. Wow, there you go. And you know, you either use the method or you don't, and I can't make you do it. At some stage, you will have watched me enough, and you will have seen it works enough, and you'll just say, you know what, I can't fight this. Literally, I can't fight this guy anymore. He's got me. He's worn me down. And I'm just going to follow the method now. And there's Core Lithium, plain as day, everybody. And as much as people will tell me it's the best lithium company in the world, it cannot resist my methodology, which says that on a close beneath there, it's minus 1/3. And then also that the previous point of demand now acting as supply. And this is not looking good, everybody. So we've got some problems here on Core Lithium. And keep telling me it's the best lithium company in the world. And I'll keep saying, look, I'm just going to go over here in the corner and play Tetris. Okay, but that's what I'm thinking about this one now. And if today's candle closes near the lows, then we're going another minus 1/3. And Carl, you're going to miss out. Trust me. You know, this is the one you want to be on, mate. This is you don't want to be out of core when it goes. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Let's keep moving on to, I don't know, there's like GL1s. Look, they all turned, ladies and gentlemen. They all turned. Did you get out? Did you make yourself do what you had to do? Or did you say, I'll just give it one more day? I don't know. I can't make you do stuff. Well, I think you could have had some reasons to get out here. I don't think you had much time, though. You probably had to get out in that day. But did you hold on and say, oh, no, it's looking really cheap now, it'll come back? Or did you say that this big gap down and the low close is a species-ending event? Like, either you're with the program or you're not with the program, but that is your choice. IGO is starting to struggle as well. This one I know I had to do for James on Facebook. James, what's going on with lithium, everybody? I mean, like I said, we haven't looked at it for a few weeks, so I haven't been here to update you. I don't like the fact that we took out this point of demand. I would say on that day there, that's minus 1/3 for me. Okay. I know it's on the light green zone, but just a precautionary measure. So we're still, we've got the balance left. So let me just, as I tend to do in these sessions, I say, well, we've still got, you know, keeping or remaining plus 2/3. Okay. But I would say we've got some big issues if we close beneath here. But what's great about this model is this low now, it's clear cut, right? So if we close beneath 14.20, give it a little bit of room, maybe it's 14.10, then you know what to do. All right, so close less than 14.10 equals minus the next third, and the final third, let's face it, if we're starting to close less than here, that's where it's all over Red Rover. Okay, until then, as I said, minus 1/3, but 2/3, and let's hope it picks up. I know that's a silly word to say. Let's hope it does stuff. And, you know, this is if you really love IGO, whatever it is, but if you've got something else better to do, and you've got a finite amount of capital, which I guess you do, and you're looking at this, well, why am I holding this sort of thing? Maybe there's reason to not be in it now and go do something else. But honest hand on my heart call, minus 1/3, and then retaining the rest based upon those parameters that I've given you. Let us head quickly here to Northern Star. Oh, no, I was doing lithium, sorry. I've got myself confused there. I'll go to gold next. Pilbara Minerals, ladies and gentlemen, I implore you. Okay, we've got problems through here when we close beneath that point of demand. This yesterday's candle is horrible. It is a really terrible candle and very limited demand side response today. I think you could have had reason, certainly before this, to minus 1/3 as a precaution. And I know today's bouncing, but and I know today's a live candle, but I just have to say this, and I totally accept that by the end of this day, it could close on the high, and this could be the wrong thing to do. Plus, by the way, minus 1/3, but I have to respond to these two candles. I have to respond to that. I cannot let that go unheeded. And even this is really bad. This is a really bad engulfing candle here. I mean, this is not good, but nothing, it's only one candle, right? But when you see, in fact, we actually made it here. This is actually a little point of supply. It absolutely is. It absolutely is one. And then we've got one there. So I think maybe you need to be more active here. So, and you say, well, how is that, Carl? How is that a point of supply? Well, remember, the points of supply are the highest point between the short-term uptrend on the left and the short-term downtrend on the right. And the definition of a short-term uptrend is 2 consecutive bars. Well, it doesn't have to be consecutive. That could be, you could have an inside bar. So eventually you will get bars where you have higher highs and higher lows. That's a short-term uptrend on this side, right? And then the short-term downtrend is the opposite. So lower highs, lower lows, short-term downtrend. And 100% unequivocal, you can do this. You can't stuff this up, everyone. You can't. I challenge you to stuff this up. You can't. It's black and white, literally. They're candles. So that's our point of supply. And then see how this high is higher and this low is higher. There's your little short-term uptrend here. It's only a 1 candle short-term uptrend, but it is. And then we flick back on this candle into short-term downtrend. But what it does, I will label it. I know it's only 1 candle, but it's there. What it does is it creates this as a pos, which then this is the pod in between them. And then if you're closing beneath that, you've got issues. So I would say if you're following my methodology to the T here, I reckon you're out 2/3 here. I reckon you're out 1/3 here, and you're out another 1/3 here. And all you've got remaining on Pilbara, and this is blasphemy for so many people, right, is plus 1/3, and then that's close less than here is the minus 1/3. And that's just how I do it. And if Pilbara goes to the moon, happy days. I've got a bit of skin in the game, and I'll always find signals to get back in. But if Pilbara is not going up, and remember what I said when we started this journey down here of buying these lithium stocks, this is a trade, ladies and gentlemen. This is not an investment. This is a trade, because I said to you, go check the tapes. We're going to hit these supply zones, and we're going to have some issues. Lithium companies, I'm trying to remember them. I've done Pilbara, I've done IGO, I don't think, Mineral Resources, I don't know, it's all out beneath there. We actually haven't been beneath the S, and most you'd have is a 1/3, but I think the grip on that 1/3 is getting looser and looser every day of the week. Unless we can get back above this high here, Mineral Resources, I think, has turned the corner. So we need to get above 77.02, and then I'm a happy holder. But as long as we stay beneath that, I just can't see the reason to be in it. And certainly, as I've said to you in the past, I'd say if we close beneath 67.50-ish, then we're all out below 67.50. Right. Let us go to NST, which was the gold company and we're not letting you do it, NST, because NST is not a lithium company. I need to go back here. Oh, there's Leo Lithium. Let's do that. This is there you go. I'm glad we got here because it's the only one that still looks good. Again, go check the tweets. This was my feature chart about a week and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. It was somewhere in here, maybe on that candle, maybe it was here, and it's just been amazing. If the candle can close there today, happy holder. So if it closes near the highs today, there's no reason to sell it. And I know it feels like it's gone up a lot, and I know everything else in lithium clearly has gone to poop, but you've got to ride these things. Now, having said that, keep in mind, we're getting close to $1, and I would be selling at $1. I'd be selling at least 1/3 at $1, only because it's a round number, no other reason. And if we had the combination of the round number, because that's compulsory for me, plus a big shadow pointing up or a big black candle, I'd be doing 2/3 or just dumping the lot. Okay, because I can always get back in when this thing reverts back to the mean and comes back to my light green zone. But that's great to see Leo Lithium doing well. Hopefully a few people got on it. Let us do another one, which I've actually been all over on Twitter as well. If you don't believe me, let me prove it to you. And I don't know, I think I'm doing all right, everyone. So let's go WA1 here. If I guess the person that's asking this has probably got it, probably from here. I don't know, maybe they got it on their own accord, but it continues to be in my lists. And if I'm not mistaken, it'll be my feature chart multiple times. It's been a feature multiple times from below $2. And I can't see any reason to sell it today unless that shadow grows. I'm back here now. Just watch that shadow, $6. It's not an insignificant round number. So just watch it at $6. If that candle grows today, then I would say minus 1/3. Look, I'm not going to put it on the screen because it's silly to put that on the screen because it hasn't happened yet. But otherwise, the candle is white enough to continue to hold. And that's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. It just hasn't given you a reason to do anything but continue to back it and buy it. Would I buy it today? No, I think it's too far away from my green zone. And I'm just a little bit concerned about that upper shadow. Okay, but it's a live candle and that shadow can get a lot better. That's for Chris. It has been on fire, Chris. You're absolutely right. IDX, maybe I've been on fire a little bit too recently. I'm really happy with the way things are going. I won't be on fire forever, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to absolutely, but before long, you'll find that in these sessions, I just can't get anything right. But that is the life of a trader. And the goal is to make hay while the sun is shining when times are good, and then go into your shell and just be really cautious when things aren't. Right now, we've got some great trends around the place. The market won't always give that to us. We get what the market gives us. This is one I have actually put, I'm pretty sure I put it in the short list. I don't think it was ever a feature chart, but it was definitely in the short list. I'm guessing it was on this day here, and you can go check on my Twitter. It probably made it in because the short-term trend was up. The long-term trend is turning. The long-term trend has gone from clearly impeding price action, like so clearly, like how good's that trend zone, to now look at this, like spot on. I challenge you to find me a better set of two sets of moving averages. It's just, but we've got some problems now, don't we? And today's candle is a serious problem for me. And it's still live, as I've said hundreds of times in this session, literally hundreds of times. And we're potentially going to be making a bit of a boo-boo here, aren't we? That's the technical term, because we're about to close beneath the valley in between the two peaks. There's our pod, there's our POS. And that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. So for me, for you, you do whatever you got to do. You be you. But for me, if it closes beneath that pod, it's minus 1/3, and just get on with life, everybody. Move on to the next trade, and the next trade, and the next trade, and the next trade. Life's too short to be concerned about getting something wrong on the market. It's just so irrelevant. Almost treat it like Tetris. It's just pattern recognition, isn't it? It's just. Okay, if you see this, okay, there you go. Hazer Group, look at this, plus 1/3. Look what I wrote last time we were here. I drew a white candle and I said, if you see this, plus 1/3. Guess what we got? Plus 1/3. What do we do now? We've got the opposite of what we want today. This is disappointing. So if you got in at 74 or 75, today's not a great candle. Hey, the candle's not closed yet. Did it hit a supply zone? I'm wondering why. Why is that candle? There you go. It's right there. Look at that. And this is why you can't ignore points of supply from the past. Look at that. Oh gosh, it's frustrating because you think the market shouldn't behave like that. You're just thinking, hey, everybody who's sold at 83 cents and 82 cents, like if you all just hang on, we'll create a big white candle at this supply zone and we'll get through it. But if you all do something stupid like sell there, then you're going to create a big black candle. And then all of Carl's buddies is going to say, I can't buy it now. And then there's going to be less demand in the system to hold this thing up because of the obvious supply. If only we could coordinate every shareholder of Hazer Group, ladies and gentlemen, and teach them about candlesticks. But we can't. And what we got is what we got. Look, that candle's not closed yet. And even if it closes that poorly, I don't think I'm a seller because one candle does not a reversal make unless it's a big bloody black candle or just the most massive shadow, then it does. But I don't think that's big enough. And the rest of the trend is good. Everything else is doing what it's supposed to. So I'll give it, even if it closes there today, I don't want to see it close much worse, let's face it. Not much worse than where it is, but if it closes there, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and I'm going to stay on it. If we get another bad candle tomorrow, that's when I'm going to really scrutinize the hell out of this thing. And I might be looking at sort of a break-even sort of thing because you're only plus 1/3 at this stage, okay? So I'm going to go hold on this one. Clearly, it's not a buy at this point in time. Okay, let us, how are we going for time? Not too bad, actually, better than I thought. Normally it's quarter past the hour when I get to there. Lithium LLL Michael asking about Leo. Lithium didn't go down. Can you have a look at it? Wonderful. I've done that one. King saying, awesome. Thank you, King, for tuning in and being a great supporter of live market analysis. Let us keep going. We've done IDX, we've done Hazer. That was for Therese. Let's go to Raju. Raju's got a bunch of them. TNE, I'm going to do them quickly. I know we're not looking at company valuations. We probably should, but you only want to look at those on stuff you want to buy anyway. So we've talked about in the past hanging on to this one until we see a big supply event. We actually saw a supply event yesterday. What was this all about yesterday? We saw it on Wisetech. We saw how well Wisetech came back. TNE isn't coming back as well, but it's not terrible. Today's candle is good. We want to see it close white, and then we're okay. Okay. Would I be, in my heart of hearts, what I've got out based upon that one candle yesterday? It's not good. It's not a great candle. But no, I think same as what I said on Hazer, you've got to give it the benefit of the doubt. And that's being rewarded today with some decent performance. What we need now is for today's candle to close. I prefer at least halfway back up yesterday's range, because it's telling me that the supply that created that candle is temporary, that the demand side response is still strong. They're not fussed about the fact that somebody's taking profits, because that big black candle is one of the fund managers breaking ranks. They can't resist it, ladies and gentlemen, because they're all value investors and they're getting belted. They're getting belted on this sort of rubbish here, right? Because they buy value, and value keeps going down. And when they finally, because TNE was value at one stage, when they finally make some money on something that's going up, they can't resist but to sell this good stuff to pay for the other rubbish in their portfolio, so that when they report their performance, it doesn't look so bad. Now, I'm not speaking about any particular fund manager, just all of them. So that black candle is one of those fund managers breaking ranks and saying, today's the day, let's get some out. And the rest of them are now figuring out what they're going to do. They're going, well, Barry just got out yesterday. What are we going to do? Well, look, let's have a meeting about it. Let's talk about it. Well, it's still good. It's still a good company. Valuation's great. Earnings growth is great. And we're going to hang on to it. In fact, look, don't worry about Barry. Barry always gets out too early, right? And then complains about it. Look, we're going to keep buying. And if you get that move back into that range, more than halfway back up that candle, it's telling you that, Frank, Marjorie, Dave, and Cindy, I'm trying to be gender neutral here. They all said, you know what? Barry's always too early. Let's keep going. Okay, let's keep buying. But some of them will go, you know what, Barry, you such and such. I thought we were going to get out together, but now Barry's broken ranks. Now I'm not going to let Barry get all the profits here. I'm going to take some profits today. The market will tell you in the candles as to how those fund managers are thinking. So today's okay. Let's see how it goes. It's a live candle. I don't want to see this where it closes down become a shadow and close near the low, because if it does, and let me say here, that low there today, 1631, and it matters, we're more than halfway through the day. So I'm going to say close less than, I'm going to give it a bit of room, 1630, I'm going to go 1617. I'm going to say minus 1/3, just as a precautionary measure. Okay, but it means that we've got remaining in the system plus 2/3. Okay. Now, I don't know how many shares you bought. If you bought, I'll use a good number here, if you bought 120 shares, life's simple, right? Because you're going to sell 40 shares and keep 80 shares, right? If you bought 300 shares, you're selling 100 shares and you're keeping 200 shares. I don't know how many you bought, but the methodology is simple. And the rationale, hopefully, is sensible as well. AGL, we said we liked it last week. It's still going. No complaints there. Nothing to do. Nothing to see here. Completely happy to hold. In fact, after yesterday's candle is another plus 1/3. In fact, this is plus 1/3 here. You could literally be holding a full position here on AGL already. Okay, no reason to do anything else but hold that one, Raju. And if you think you need to sell it, hey, explain to me why you think you need to sell it, because I can't see any reason. This is one which we were very positive on. Now we started getting positive. I'm going to say, go check my tweets. I reckon around here, because that's when I like stuff. Okay. Now, what's happened since then? I'm not here every day. And if you've lost money on this because it turned around, you can't blame me. You can't say, oh, Carl, you never told me to get out. Hey, I'm not going to tell you to do anything, right? It's your job. That's not my job. You manage your portfolio, not me. But what you should have picked up on is the fact that things weren't going all the way of this. We weren't still seeing all the stuff we need to see. Okay. And through here, you needed to take some action. Okay. Now that's history. If you didn't do it, what's stopping you from doing it now? I like the shadows. So this lower shadow is good. This lower shadow is good. And really beneath there, you have no reason to be in this anymore. Look at that. Why would you still be in this beneath there? But there's enough in it to hold it today, you naughty person, because you didn't, if you're still in there, right, that's enough to hold it, but only to do this. When you think about it, we're only trying to now fish for a potential better exit. Okay, and that's where you are now. Don't be so lazy with applying the system that you get yourself in the situation that your best case outcome is to try and find a better exit. But you have to draw the line somewhere, literally like I did, no pun intended, to say, well, beneath this level, I'm not going to play this game anymore. So that's for Raju. I've done all your three. Been very generous there, Raju. Perry, MFF. There you go. Tweeted about this one not long ago because it's doing all the turnaround stuff that I like to see. I'm just a broken record, ladies and gentlemen, just playing every Tuesday. And either you listen to it and get with the rhythm and get with the groove, all right, or you go find another groove. That's your choice. Happy holder here. No reason to sell it. Perry. And Perry knows what to do. I want to give Perry my money to manage. Perry's a legend. EMR. We got some problems here. Emerald Resources. Again, one of my most tweeted about stocks, but one of the best performers on the ASX. Today's a good candle. It's a bad candle, but a good candle, because it's telling us that beneath this here, it's kind of really last hope, isn't it? Look, you can see the demand side trying to respond. Yes, there's supply in the system. Look at yesterday's candle, right? We know gold's been awful, but this is still very strong. It tells you, speaks to the quality here. But we slipped a little bit because we were treating this area as demand, weren't we? This was our demand. This was our reliable demand. And then today we've slipped. But the demand side response, caught them off guard at the open. They've come back in. Make sure we don't get beneath the bottom of that candle. That would be a problem. And I'd be starting to manage my exits beneath that level. Okay, so beneath here, close less than equals -1/3. Okay, how are we going here? Emeralds, GGUS, geared US equity fund. Look, no reason not to. Who's this one for? Oh gosh, Nicola, no reason not to. I've tweeted so many of those technology based. I think they look really good. The robos and ACADs, I don't know. They probably look a bit better than this one, but this one's not terrible. I just don't think it's knocking my socks off just yet. But you can see how the trend is changing, Nicola, and the parameters under which I operate. And I'm sure you are more than capable of figuring out what to do with that. So I know Nicola is a regular in these sessions. LNAS possibly for you, Peter, but I will point you to the Thursday sessions when we talk about the NASDAQ. You know my opinion on the NASDAQ. I tweeted about it all the time, so that's fine. And the FANGs, which are now stocks, again, US stocks on Friday. Peter, you're being a bit cheeky by asking me about these today, but happy holder there. We're not going to have candles. There's no point in me doing technical analysis on this because we're not going to get great candles. Price action certainly will work and the trends will work, but happy holders there. Should you get out? I can't tell from those candles, but we can do analysis on the NASDAQ or the individual stocks themselves on Friday. On a case-by-case basis, we can work that out. So I don't think this is the right place for this. Alan say, hey, Carl, why is the RSI useless? Because it's never worked for me, Alan. Because everybody goes, oh, it's RSI is overbought and turning down, you need to sell. The RSI is overbought because people are buying the stock like crazy. The RSI, when it's overbought, means buy. It doesn't mean sell, everyone. And there's a negative divergence. There's been a negative divergence for 3 months and the thing's still going up. And you didn't buy it for 3 months because there was a negative divergence. Stop using the RSI. It's completely useless. Hey, you're getting Carl's view of the world here, everybody. Doesn't mean it's right. AFG. Look, I can see some good stuff going on here for Henelli, but not yet, Henelli. Not yet. I know what Henelli wants. Henelli wants another turnaround play. I think we're close. Keep an eye on this. Okay, you know what to look for now, Henelli. Look at today's candle. Not great. Supply side response. Why is there a supply side response here? Because we're in this. We're getting close to this. And they're my two biggest issues with this one, Henelli. I think this is almost in the too hard basket. But happy to give it the benefit of the doubt. If it starts to do the stuff we like to see with the right candles in the light green zones. The light green zones are about to appear. Here and here, we want the demand side buddies that we saw from before. pass for me right now, Hanelli, but yes, I don't mind if you keep an eye on that one. A4N, which I think we were getting a little bit bearish on last week, if I'm not mistaken. What did we say last week? Oh, we said minus a third, and it's gone up. Okay, so there you go. You can say, oh, well, Carl's system doesn't work. Okay, minus a third, but we're still holding on to some of the position. If it starts to make high peaks and high troughs, we just add back in. What we don't do is get all caught up with this over here. Stop looking at this. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Okay, oh, I got out at 98 cents and now it's $1.07. Who cares? Is there a setup? Is there excess demand? Get back in at $1.07. It doesn't matter. If you get out at 98 cents again, that's just the market. All right. So happy holder on what we had remaining. I don't think there's a reason to add any risk to this just yet. And now that we have another trough down here, I can say with confidence that if we close beneath that level there, then you would be the final 1/3, I think, is on this one. Okay, whatever that is. And let me just move one of those to there so we'll remember for next time. Let's NXT. Okay, I think this one is still okay. Obviously, we had a nice little pop there. I did tweet that the other day. So, this is a case study. You know, hopefully you did the case study and you went back and you said, well, what was Carl looking at? He's looking at the lower points of supply. Do this as a case study. Go find it on Twitter, and I want you to go and label these. Okay, go and label everything. Right? It's one of those things like when you're doing. You know, remember back at school, you're doing the exams, but you also in preparation, you wanted the exam with the results as well, so you can go back and test whether you got it right. So what got Carl upset here to go minus 1/3 on that candle, and then minus 1/3 on that candle, and then really all out by when it was closing underneath that zone? I think I've given that away. And then what was he looking at here to say, well, actually get back in plus 1/3, and then what changed his mind? I think it's a really good case study, and this is where I think you were getting back into it. Not one we cover here very often on Tuesdays. I think it's fine. Today's candle's not ideal, but we're seeing a little bit of a lower shadow build. Let's hope that shadow builds to the top. I think this is fine. There's a happy holder. Can you buy it here? No, you can't buy it here because we've got a black candle. But certainly if it just pulls back, you know, any sort of pullback with the demand side candles coming in, then that is just really, for me, another reason to add some risk to this one if we get it, okay? Especially if it starts to occur, you know, around that short-term trend zone, because the long-term trend, I think, is now establishing itself to the upside. So happy holder there, no complaints. Let us go to uranium. Can we do uranium this week? We'll do the main ones. BOE. Oh, this is so disappointing. I think we need to stop doing uranium. And I did, again, during the week, put up a post saying, you uranium nuts, you are just bananas. You just, honestly, are suckers for punishment. I can go hold on BOE. Oh, my gosh. What happened here? What happened there? Oh, that's... Okay, let's just stop doing uranium stocks because it's just pain. It's just all... It's a wall of pain, everybody. You have to learn. Stop doing uranium. What's good? I don't know. Copper AIS. Copper, you can't buy copper either, right? Stop falling in love with themes and thematics, ladies and gentlemen. I've neglected the streamers. Oh, I've got so much to do. I've got maybe 3 or 4 left. Zoomers, you're done. I've done all of yours. Stop typing any new ones because I won't do them. I have to do some for SAS. No, his handle is SAS. DSE I've done for you. VYS was the other one. It looks great. I'm glad I'm doing this one. Look, it's extremely liquid. You can tell by the candles, but otherwise it looks very, very good. Price action, trends, they all look very good. I'm a happy plus 130. I've got no reason not to, but it is super, super specky. Just understand you could get a bit stuck in this one. There's nothing really holding it back here. Look, as far as little speckies go, that's a nice chart. So well done, SAS on the Twitter. QANTAS here. Raju, I'm not sure if it's just the same Raju. Happy holder, I think, at this stage. But what's wonderful about this chart is you do have some pretty clear-cut areas here, and there might be a dividend that could impact that. So just be careful. But I think if we're starting to close beneath that, then the fun finally on QANTAS is probably over. And certainly beneath there, I think you're all out of QANTAS because you've had reason, I think, up to this point, probably in here already to start enacting minus 1/3. FRB, oh gosh, I can't do any more of those. FRB looks awful, Nick. I can't own that. It is nothing. There's no redeeming features. There's nothing in here to tell me that there's enough interest from the market to stimulate people with cash. And I love my cash. I want to hold it. I don't want to lose it. And I don't want to throw it away on stuff like this. And I think the cash out there looks at this as completely throwing away their money. And I tell you, the people that own the stock, they've already viewed that their ownership of this stock has just been a total disaster and throwing away their money. And they're just trying to get any money they can left out of this. And I totally accept it could be the best thing tomorrow, but today it is the worst thing out there. That's the worst chart we've seen by a long, long way. Hey, I don't want to be nasty. I'm not trying to be insulting here. Please continue to ask them, okay? But that's the way my methodology works. I think this is very interesting. This one is for Lawrence. I love yesterday's candle. It's really important, okay? These rising troughs, I think this is important. This is good stuff here. This is good. We're trying to turn the ship around, but it's still a bit too early for me on this one, Lawrence, okay? Yesterday's candle is so good, so good. Ordinarily, when I see big white candles, I want to buy them. I'm just going to give it a few extra days just because supply, and you've felt this. If you're owning this stock, Lawrence, you know just how tough it is up there. When it gets up there, somebody just wants to sell this thing. And you can't understand why, because it's such a good company. But hey, they know more about this company than you, let me assure you. And look, if we can start to do the right things around here, and by that I mean start to put in some of this, but even then, that supply is so great. Look, I can go hold. I think this is a long way away from a buy for me, but happy to hold it. ADT, this is frustrating. And again, I think you needed to really be honest with yourself about this one and start to lighten the load through there. You've had many opportunities and reasons to do so. And I think if it's starting to close down here, then I can't see any reason to own ADT. It's certainly, maybe if that's your second, third, and then closing beneath here is your final 1/3, and you're all done. But I think you really did have to, take some medicine on this, and then minus 1/3, I'd say. Not 10/3. That's a bit too much. And then minus 1/3, I think, through there. Okay, how are we going here? BBOS. What's BBOS? Better Shares strong, Australian strong bear hedge fund. No, well, I don't know. I'm sure there's better shorts out there, Leo. Not for me. When is the audition for Koshi's job? Says Ross. Well, there's a couple of jobs open, Ross. I can go for Mark McGowan's job. That's open. And I can go for Koshi's job. I'm just waiting for the offers to come in, and then watch this space on that one. Neil is bagging Lawrence actually on that. Neil is giving Lawrence a mouthful, and that's always good to see. Not necessarily that, but some lively chat as well. Matthew S32. Matthew, you got big problems here. Clear short-term downtrend, clear long-term downtrend. I can't see any redeeming features. The price actions, lower peaks, lower troughs, and the candles are predominantly black. This is not the picture of excess demand. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the picture of excess supply. Buy, hold, or sell. Hand on my heart, I'm in a sell category on this. I can't even really see a reason to buy it. To hold it, and buy is 100% off the table. Buy is a 0% for me. Hey, it can go up tomorrow. It can go up for the next 10 years. I don't know what's going to happen next. Please understand that. But all I can say is that based upon the probabilities associated with those patterns, it doesn't look good. Bega's not bad. I think we've got some problems though, because as good as it looks here, I wonder if I tweeted it on that day, or I wonder if I just held back putting it on my shortlist because of that supply zone. I hope I did, but this is not good through here. This is bad. Bega's back in the bad books. I can't be an owner of this. I don't think it's even a hold because it's failing at the long-term trend zone. That long-term trend zone looks like it's reinforcing itself. So buy is clearly off the table. Hold, I think, is really fine line there. And sell, I'm probably more on the sell. So I've done all of the requests that have come through Facebook, through Twitter, through YouTube, HZN. This is the last one, and then I can say I absolutely have hold, but it's the grip on that hold is becoming quite tenuous. Look, it's a slow and steady one. It's not one I would own just on the basis of those candles. If I can't get good candles, how can I do my job? My job is to interpret those candles. How can I interpret my candles when they don't form candles? That's a big red flag for me. But if you've got it, you can hold it. I wouldn't be a holder underneath that, that dark green zone. So there you go. I did everything. PDN's in a trading halt. Problems in Namibia. You bet they've got problems in Namibia. Okay, let's head back here and thank everybody for joining me. There's an event you need to register your interest for coming up in July. All rumblings within the powers that be at Think Markets is that this will go ahead. So let us know that you can attend there. Hit up Nick Coulson at thinkmarkets.com. Very important you do that so we can it helps us with our planning. If you want to come, I've mentioned Thursday sessions for the macro, where we do all the indices, commodities, forex and crypto. But then on Fridays, compulsory viewing. All of you ASX nuts out there, you've got to get over the US because we've had incredible success on those US companies. If you are not a client of, don't go to the shark, Carl. If you're not a client of Think Markets, you should be. We've got everything you need to trade, whether it be good old-fashioned ASX shares that are CHESS sponsored. I was on a chat room the other day and, is such and such CHESS sponsored? And they're not CHESS sponsored, and some person said, they are, but no, they're not. We are CHESS sponsored 100%. There might be cheaper rates out there, but they won't be CHESS sponsored, and they won't have the ability to trade all the other stuff within your same client portal. FX, indices. We had a lot of people talk about ETFs today. Stop trading those ETFs. Get a CFD account open and trade the actual indices themselves. Get these ETF things out of your heads. Market-leading spreads, commission-free on shares, award-winning broker, the best platforms, best customer service. Head to www.thinkmarkets.com/au for details. If you're watching me on any of the streaming services, hopefully you had fun today shouting at each other, clearly, over there. But hit the subscribe button to stay notified of all of my future updates. And make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Very important that you let me know what I'm doing is what you want to see. Apart from that, it has been a pleasure chatting with you today. All the best for your trading and investing. Until we catch up again. Bye-bye for now. But before you run away, don't forget that everything we've talked about today is general in nature. It has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances or particular needs. So before acting upon any of that general advice, please consider it carefully. Or seek the help of a financial professional. You can find out everything you need to know about the wonderful Think Markets and our wonderful products by heading to our website and downloading our PDS.